Hi there and welcome to Tech Life, a channel where I aim to review everything from selfie sticks to laptops, IDEs for coding, video editing software, software for producing thumbnails, essentially anything tech related. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you have anything that you think I should review, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to review that product. Today's video is a quick beginner's tutorial on OBS. OBS stands for Open Broadcast Software, if you're wondering. OBS Studio is a free open source screen recorder. In order to download OBS, go to the website obsproject.com. OBS is available for Windows, Mac and Linux. The latest version of OBS supports Windows 8, 8.1 and 10. If you're still running on Windows 7, then you can click the Download tab and navigate down to the previous Releases tab and find a version that is compatible with Windows 7. OBS supports Mac OS 10.13 and above, Linux as mentioned. Windows and Mac OS downloads are standard installer.exe files. Clicking the Linux download will redirect you to another page which gives you detailed instructions on how to download and install OBS Studio for Linux. For Windows and Mac, once the download is complete, navigate to the Downloads folder using Explorer, right-click the download.exe file and run as administrator for the install to begin. Okay, after installation is complete, go ahead and open OBS. Incidentally, the reason we're getting this recursive image on the screen is because I'm sharing the monitor that I'm actually recording on using OBS. So that happens to be this display capture source. If I quickly change this source, we're going to right click, properties, and then change it to display here. Since I've got two monitors attached to this PC, I can select the second of the two. And now that's showing a web page, the obsproject.com web page that is actually displayed on my second monitor. And this is a typical image that you would see when you are working with OBS. The only reason you get to see this slightly psychedelic occurring images because I'm actually, as I say, recording this video on the monitor that I'm actually sharing with yourselves. The quickest way to get started is to select a source. Selecting a source tells OBS what to capture, essentially to record. So if you go down to the sources section, it's down here, click the plus sign. You should see a long list of sources. Let's just run through a few of these quickly. So the first source, audio input capture. This source will allow you to record specific audio for specific scenes that are not already included in the scenes via the mixer. Audio output capture is very similar to input capture. The next source down is browser. And essentially the browser source allows you to capture anything that is displayed on your internet browser. The next useful one down is display capture, and the display capture source will allow you to capture your entire monitor. Games capture source will actually allow you to hook into certain games and record your on-screen gameplay. Display capture and the game capture sources are two of the most popular ones that are used. The image source will allow you to display still images on the screen. And the next useful one down is the media source, which will allow you to run video files, MP4s, Windows Media Type files. The text source will allow you to display text on screen and also to type free text. Video capture device source will allow you to add sources such as webcams, video capture cards, etc. And lastly, the window capture source will allow you to capture certain parts of the screen, so certain windows, certain videos of your display. The difference between the window capture and the display capture, essentially the display capture will capture everything on your monitor, whereas with the video capture you can actually specify certain parts of the monitor to be captured. So those are the sources. As you can see on my desktop at the moment, I have two sources. One is my Logitech headset and one is the display, and that's the source I'm using in order to create this video and the audio associated to the video. So just an example, let's just quickly go through the process of adding a source. As mentioned, click on the add, and I'm going to add a display capture, and you're prompted to give the source a new name. So I'm going to say display 02, and ensure that you have the make source visible checkbox checked, and click OK. This next dialog allows you to select the monitor that you wish to display. So if you remember, the display capture source allows you to capture the whole of a monitor, and if you have more than one monitor attached to your PC, then you are able to select which monitor you wish to capture. In this case I have two monitors, and I will select a number 2 monitor. I'm not displaying anything on that monitor at the moment, and if I click OK, my source has been added. Let's take a closer look at the sources section over here. We can see that we can have more than one source. At the moment, currently I've got 3 different sources: display capture, Logitech, which basically is my audio capture, and window capture. We can change the priority of these sources by selecting the source and using the up and down arrow key to move the position of these. So window capture was sitting at the bottom, now it's gone to the center. Let's just move that back down. The topmost source listed here is the one that takes priority, and the one sitting at the bottom is the least important, or has the least priority. We can change the properties of these sources in one of 2 ways. If we select the source, we can click on the properties icon, and this dialog will pop up, and this will allow us to change different aspects of the source depending on what type of source it is. So we can change, in this case we can change the window that we are currently displaying. We can change whether we're going to capture the cursor or not. I'm going to leave those settings as they are. The other way to do this is to do a right click and go into properties, and you'll be presented with the same screen as before, and you're able to make the same changes. Let's cancel that. The icon here, the eye icon, allows you to enable and disable your sources. So having that disabled means that I won't be using that, or if I select it and change the priority to make it the most important, nothing will be displayed until I re-enable it. We can delete source again in one of two ways. We can either do a left click to select, then a right click remove, or left click to select it, and then clicking this minus button will also remove the source. To the right of the sources panel is the audio mixer. This allows you to control the different aspects of your audio recording. So you have your desktop audio, your microphone, and any additional sources that you might have created in terms of capturing your audio. So my Logitech audio source is the one that's currently being used. It's the one that is active. The audio mixer works slightly different than the sources. Sources, you can change the priority by using these up and down arrow keys. With the audio mixer, you can select whether you wish to have the audio at a certain level or not. In my case, the desktop audio is set to essentially off because I wish my Logitech headset to capture the audio, and the same with this auxiliary microphone. I don't wish to capture any audio using that because I'm using the Logitech headset. Similar to sources, we can change the properties of these audio captures. In this case, there is the property icon to the right of the source, and that allows you to change the priorities. Change the properties of the source that you're using. So for my Logitech one, it's currently set at microphone, Logitech USB headset, and that's the only selection apart from the default. So I've not got anything else plugged into this PC at the moment. To the left of sources, we have the scenes section. Scenes are instances of different source captures and recordings, different scenarios, if you will. For example, we can create a scene that records just our desktop, or we could create another scene that captures our desktop and audio, or we could create another scene that captures just a webcam. So scenes are ways of being able to create different scenarios and select those scenarios at will. So scenes we've seen, no pun intended, are groupings of sources. So one particular scene can have a group of different sources. So this scene that I've got currently set up has a video capture device, a display capture device, an audio capture source, and another window capture source. We can go ahead and create, just an example, we can create a scene, and it's very similar to the way you would create a source, in that you have the plus button down here to add, or you can do a right click and add. You can then name that scene, and when I click OK on this, it's immediately going to switch to that scene. Since that new scene doesn't have any sources associated to it, the screen will go blank for a second. and the audio will then not work as well. Okay, so we can see that we've got essentially three scenes listed. The first one is the default scene, which doesn't have any sources associated to it. The second one down is the one that I'm using, and I created these different sources and they're associated to this scene. And then the scene that we've just created is the one sitting down here, and if I click that, because it doesn't have any sources associated to it, then the recording goes blank. But in order for you to associate sources to it, you would simply left click to highlight, click the plus button and add your sources, and the list of sources are available are these, as mentioned at the top of this video. That's how simple it is to create a scene. As mentioned, scenes have sources associated to them. One scene can have numerous different sources associated to that scene, and then you can have a list of many different scenes. In order to delete a scene, you can either do a left click and click on the minus button to remove that scene or delete the scene, or you can do a right click and remove, and that is very similar to what we saw when we looked at the sources. Okay, the last set of controls that I'm going to briefly mention are the ones sitting over on the right hand side over here. The first one there is start streaming, which allows you to start and stop streaming live video. Second one down would be labeled start recording. The reason it's labeled stop recording is because we're in the middle of recording. Third one down is quite interesting, so let's just click in that one. So this is studio mode. Studio mode splits up your screen as seen. On the left hand side you have a preview pane, and on the right hand side you have what is actually your live view. So anything that's in the right hand window is either being streamed if you were streaming, or is being recorded as I am doing here. So this view over here is getting streamed. The left hand view is a staging area. So the scene that's currently being viewed in the right hand pane is the desktop 19 scene. So, and display capture is associated to this scene, so it's actually everything that's currently displayed on this monitor is being recorded. If I click on scene, the scene labeled scene doesn't have any sources attached to it. Therefore, if I clicked transition, the live view would be blank. So essentially this is a staging area, so I could have set up another scene with different sources, maybe a webcam or some other configuration of a scene. I could have viewed that scene over here to make sure everything was correct and I was happy with what I was going to push out to the live stream or to the recording, and then I could set up a transition of some description. There's one or two already here. This is a fade of 300 milliseconds. This is a fade to black of 300 milliseconds. You can quickly add a transition and set up the time as displayed there, and then when you go ahead and click the transition button, whatever is displayed in your staging area will become live. It'll either start streaming live if you are streaming, or it will start recording if you are in the process of recording. So that is studio mode. The next one down is settings. This allows you to change various different configuration settings for OBS. You can set up hotkeys if you are more comfortable with keeping both hands on your keyboard and prefer using your keyboard to your mouse. You can set up your audio outputs. You can set up various different stream settings. You can stream to Twitch, YouTube, various other different settings can be selected from there. You can change your video settings from here and general settings. And then the last option is the exit button. Okay, so that's all I'm going to cover in this beginner's tutorial of OBS. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. I hope that it's been informative and educational. If you have enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.